My fiancé forgot to hang up, and I overheard his family's shocking plan that ruined our wedding. I was supposed to get married last week. Instead, I ran away the night before the ceremony. My name is Emma, and I'm 28 years old. I work as a graphic designer in Seattle, a city I've called home for most of my life. My ex-fiancé, Daniel, is 29 and works in finance. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months, and share twin daughters, Lily and Mia, who just turned 1. Our relationship had always been a roller coaster, but I never imagined it would end like this. The night before our wedding, I overheard a conversation that shattered everything I thought I knew about Daniel, his family, and our future together. Daniel and I met at a mutual friend's party 3 years ago. He was charming, confident, and had a way of making me feel like the only person in the room. We started dating soon after, and for a while, everything was perfect. He was supportive of my career, and I admired his ambition. But things took a turn when I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned. I was on birth control, but life has a way of throwing curveballs. When I told Daniel, his reaction was far from what I expected. He was horrified. He begged me to consider other options, insisting he wasn't ready to be a father. I was devastated, but I knew I couldn't go through with anything other than keeping the baby. I've always wanted to be a mother, and even though the timing wasn't ideal, I felt ready. I gave Daniel an out. I told him he could leave, and I wouldn't demand child support. I believed I could raise the baby on my own. But to my surprise, he stayed. He said he needed time to process everything, but he didn't want to lose me. Over time, he seemed to come around. He was there for me throughout the pregnancy, and when we found out we were having twins, he even joked that we were getting a 2-for-1 deal. After the girls were born, Daniel stepped up in ways I hadn't expected. He changed diapers, stayed up for late-night feedings, and even took paternity leave to help me adjust. 6 months later, he proposed. I said yes without hesitation. Despite the rocky start, I believed we were building a life together, a life I was excited to live. We spent months planning the wedding. It was going to be a small, intimate ceremony at a vineyard just outside the city. My parents adored Daniel, and his family seemed to like me well enough. Everything was falling into place, or so I thought. The night before the wedding, Daniel and I were staying separately, as per tradition. I was at our apartment, while he was at his parents' house a few blocks away. We talked on the phone before bed, and he told me how much he loved me, and how excited he was to marry me. It was a sweet moment, one that made me feel like the luckiest woman in the world. But then he forgot to hang up. I heard his father's voice in the background asking if Daniel had been talking to me. Daniel confirmed it, but his tone was off, distant, almost resigned. Curiosity got the better of me, and I stayed on the line listening as his parents began to speak. His father asked if Daniel still felt the same way as he had 2 days ago. Daniel's response was a quiet yes. His mother chimed in, urging him to go through with the wedding regardless of how he felt. She said it was the responsible thing to do, especially now that he was a father. His father agreed, adding that if Daniel didn't marry me, he'd be cut out of their will. Daniel exploded. He accused them of coercing him into a life he wasn't ready for. He said he'd never wanted kids and only stayed with me because they pressured him to do the right thing. He felt trapped, forced into fatherhood and now marriage, all to secure his inheritance. I was stunned. My hands trembled as I held the phone, tears streaming down my face. The man I loved, the father of my children, had only been with me out of obligation. Everything, the proposal, the wedding plans, the life we'd built, was a lie. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I packed a bag for myself and the girls, got in the car, and drove to a hotel on the outskirts of the city. I blocked Daniel and his family on my phone and sent a message to my friends and family, telling them the wedding was off. I didn't explain why. I couldn't bring myself to say the words. The next day I returned to the apartment to collect my things. Daniel was there, frantic and confused. He demanded an explanation, accusing me of humiliating him and his family. When I told him I'd overheard his conversation with his parents, he froze. The guilt on his face was all the confirmation I needed. I didn't stick around to argue. I grabbed what I could and left, determined to start over on my own terms. In the weeks that followed, I focused on my daughters and my career. I moved into a smaller apartment near my parents' house and hired a nanny to help with the girls while I worked. It wasn't easy, but I was determined to provide a stable, loving home for Lily and Mia. Daniel reached out a few times, begging for another chance. He claimed he loved me and the girls, but I couldn't trust him. His actions spoke louder than words. When I told him I wanted full custody, he panicked, admitting that his parents had threatened to cut him off if he didn't fight for joint custody. It was never about love or responsibility. It was about money. In the end, Daniel signed away his parental rights. I don't know if it was guilt, pressure from his parents, or simply a desire to be free, but I was relieved. I didn't want my daughters growing up with a father who saw them as a burden. It's been a few months since the wedding that never was. Life is quieter now, but in a good way. I've found peace in focusing on my girls and my work. I've forgiven Daniel, not for his sake, but for mine. Holding on to anger would only weigh me down. As for Daniel, I hope he finds whatever it is he's looking for. But I know now that it's not me, and it's not our daughters. We're better off without him. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading my story. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the brightest futures. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Your support means the world to me, and I can't wait to share more with you. Until next time, take care and remember, you're stronger than you think.